Hello, welcome to the September edition of 1036 here on Milwaukee PBS. I'm Portia Young. In this episode, we'll explain how our documentary, You're Not Alone, on youth mental health is making an impact with state legislators. Plus, meet a youth baseball coach who isn't letting his disability get in the way of teaching his team to play fearless on and off the field. And John McGivern has a conversation with this bagpiper about his passion for the pipes. Our documentary on youth mental health, Kids in Crisis, You're Not Alone, continues to resonate with young people and mental health experts across our state, country, and even as far away as Hong Kong. Wisconsin's Task Force on Suicide Prevention in the Assembly has invited the film's producers and teens featured in it to Madison later this month as the task force finalizes some policy recommendations when it comes to mental health. I talked with the chair of that bipartisan task force about the crisis we're facing and the role our documentary has played in shaping new mental health policies here in Wisconsin. Welcome, Representative Ballweg. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So you are the chair of the Assembly's Task Force on Suicide Prevention. Your committee has looked into this issue across our state. Can you give us some perspective on how bad the issue is in our state, and then how did we get there?
Actually, when it comes to averages, we're just a little bit higher than the national average, but we thought that this was a very important topic to take a look at, to figure out where the silos are, where we can work together as a state in many different areas, regions, and the state being a partner to do a better job. I think the biggest thing we need to think about when it comes to suicide prevention is the stigma regarding just reaching out for help when it comes to behavioral health, and encouraging everyone that their friends and family should be asking for help if needed.
Has the task force found why there is that stigma in today's day and age?
That's a good question. I think that is something that is typically misunderstood by many people, that there is treatment. That's why I think one of the things that we're encouraging people to get involved in is the QPR training that we're going to be doing at some of our task forces, and when we roll this out on the 25th at the state capitol. QPR is question, persuade, refer. It's considered the CPR of mental health, and the more people that we have understanding what the questions are, how to understand some of the comments that people may make in casual conversation. They could be clues to someone that really needs to be encouraged to seek some counseling or some treatment.
And that's the reason why that PBS and Milwaukee PBS has taken a closer look at this. Our documentary, Kids in Crisis, You're Not Alone, you saw that, and it had 4 young people speaking honestly and candidly about their struggles with mental health and the challenges that they've had, and even thoughts of suicide. You saw that documentary. They really came forward. What did you see in that documentary, and what struck you, and how did it inform the work that you've been doing on the task force?
What we did with the documentary, actually doing a screening at one of our public hearings, the one that we held in Ripon College, to focus on youth, both K-12 and post-secondary higher education. And we had a screening of the documentary. The thing that these young people have put together in trying to show their resiliency, and the things that the PBS documentary has helped us do, is in a very concise way gone through their struggles, how that started, how they are continuing to address those situations, and how they've really become advocates when it comes to suicide awareness, especially for youth. What they've been doing in their own schools, promoting peer-to-peer organizations and actual resiliency training also. They are just a delight to work with, and I think we're very appreciative that they've been able to step forward and talk about this in a way that will relate to young people. When it comes to legislators, we do react to those stories, and those are very impactful.
You've invited our producers who produced that documentary and the young people who were featured in the documentary. You invited them to Madison. Why'd you do that?
Because I think that the general population and the rest of the legislature and staff in Madison should have the same opportunity that our task force had, because I think, again, it is something that will resonate with the legislators, with the legislators on the importance, how these are just not the statistics, the numbers, the personalities of these young people and how they've moved on and working on being successful in their own way. And I think the other thing that it really shows, what I was really impressed, is the support that they had and how that should also resonate with young people that are struggling, to see these examples of young people that have been able to survive and move on and find their next path in life.
Thank you very much. State Representative Joan Ballweg.
Well, thank you very much for having us, and thank you to you and PBS and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel for putting together such a powerful documentary.
Toughen up. Stop your crying. It's a message boys often hear when they open up about their feelings. Local author Ebony Lewis's new book, Dear Black Boy, It's Okay to Cry, focuses on some of the cultural differences of mental health within the Black community and breaks down the stigma inflicting African American boys in Milwaukee.
As Ebony Lewis soothes her 2-week-old son, Daxon, she has a simple message.
Dear Black boy, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. It's okay to hurt. That's how you know you're human. That's how you know you're real. It's all right to let it out, to scream and shout, to talk about what's going on inside.
That's the opening to her new book that she was inspired to write after losing her cousin to suicide in 2016. She wonders if things would be different had her family spoke freely about their own mental health challenges.
I think the stigmas in Black communities definitely is something that exists very highly. I think naturally we've just been, back to just kind of history and, even in our households, like we've just been taught to just be strong and just exist. So it's like you just kind of get used to all these hurtful things and you grow up thinking like that's just normal. It's normal to be hurt by people. It's normal to experience these traumatic things and just keep moving. I would like for Dear Black Boy, It's Okay to Cry to help Black boys and their families and other families across the nation, in a way to where they feel comfortable just being themselves. But in our communities, it's one of those things where it's just like, you don't talk about that. Nothing's wrong with you. Just keep going. Just, keep being strong, keep pushing. And ultimately, it's hurting us when we're not getting that help that we need.
These are more than characters in a book. These are the stories of many African American males growing up in Milwaukee, like Delshante Jean Tate, who through his art is turning the tables on stigma.
It's difficult for anyone to be vulnerable and talk about, sensitive things or personal things because you don't know what anyone's going to do with that information. I think young Black men are depicted as violent, aggressive, and maybe stressed out. And I would say that's in a negative lens. The way I would describe it would be a survivalist because all those things are products of, what we had to go through to get where we are today. And the biggest thing for any of us is surviving.
When constantly surrounded by painful images, Lewis says holding in emotions can become a defense mechanism for young Black men.
I think there's tons of hurt when we look at our Black males in our community. I think naturally, even just to live in a world that teaches you naturally that you're less than is really difficult. It's like you turn on the TV and whether it's, the different, the police brutality or, just different headlines that come out. I had a boy once tell me that he couldn't love because it would make him weak, and he was 9. And I was just like, what happens to that little boy when he becomes 20 with that mindset? So that moment, amongst a few others, really inspired me to start some kind of message. I didn't know it would spiral into a book, but just a message that really taught our boys specifically, like, it's okay to do all these things that I think they naturally believe will make them weak if they express how they feel, or if they love, or if they're vulnerable. I would like to teach my own sons that it's okay to, it's okay to cry. It's okay to, express yourself in whatever way you want to express yourself. It's okay to talk to somebody. Making sure that those things are received and that those stigmas are, slowly broken down through this book is what my hope would be for it. Dear Black boy, be brave, be bold, and confident in who you are designed to be. Joy is the sound of your new song.
A form of muscular dystrophy known as FSH affects about 870,000 individuals worldwide. That includes a youth baseball coach from New Berlin you're about to meet. His frame of mind for himself and his young players is about playing fearless.
All right. Watch your fingers. When I go and coach and bring all the equipment, which I love my gear, so I bring all the gear. Buckets, you want to get that one? That one's heavier anyway. Haha. It's a big struggle. Lordy. I have this dugout caddy that's an awesome organizer for the kids, puts all their helmets and whatnot in there. But for it to work right, it has to be hung on the fence line. So if I have to take that and hang it anything above my eyebrow line, basically, with the weight of that piece of gear, and hook it one hook at a time as I go, it's very difficult. The reaching part of the disease is really what affects me. I don't want to ask for help, and I find myself doing it as quickly as I can because I don't want the kids to notice. I'm Tim Hollenbach, and I live with something called FSHD, which is Facioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy. It affects your face, your scapula, your back area, and then your humeral, or they say trunk. You can affect your legs. So for me, it affects mostly my shoulder blade area and arms. And basically, it is a muscle wasting disease that you're born with. It's not autoimmune. You have a DNA glitch. There is no cure and there is no treatment. It wasn't until I was 40 when I was throwing a football in my yard with my kids. Felt like my arm disconnected with the ball, and a shock of pain went up my arm, and I thought, wow, what was that? Once I was diagnosed, and then I had that hindsight, and I could look back, and I was like, wow, I couldn't do a push-up when I was like 10, or a pull-up even, or anything. I couldn't lift my own muscle mass at that time, thinking, I'm just a weak guy. You have to keep moving. Don't have a lifestyle where you're sitting a lot. All right, you guys ready to play? Yeah. Really? Yeah. Okay, good. This whole disease is about compensating, the whole thing. You just adapt. You don't even realize you're adapting.
Play ball!
I just like baseball. Hey, Justin, slide out a little bit. Yeah, you got to play the space. You're fast enough. You can get to one. Hey, keep your head in there, Mikey. Keep your head in there. Usually a third base coach is relatively active. You've got to make sure you're visual to the base runners. So you're moving your body, trying to get in line, so as they're rounding that second base, they can see you immediately. So I'm trying to move and do those things, but I'm not swift in my movements. Come on. There's 2 outs. You got to be on your horse, kid. Hold it, round it. Hold it. Good. I think I'm trying to hide it the best I can. I don't want the kids to see, oh, coach is kind of sore. Is he all right? I don't want it to be a distraction. It's not about me. It's supposed to be about the kids and playing ball. You can change lives. It's not about the wins, the losses. It's about the impact. And I totally believe that, 100%.
He never brings us down, and he doesn't yell at us. He doesn't get mad at us.
Play a little deep. There you go. Gloves out in front, boys. Let's go. Remember, offense, you guys average like 13 runs a game, right? Yeah. Answer back. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So he tells us all to play fearless.
Playing fearless was the theme this year. The kind of coach I am, I learned this from my mentor, coach, and friend, was find something that they can buy into. Sorry. I noticed that they were a little scared. Scared in the box, scared to hit, scared to field. And I thought, where does that fear come from? It can't just be from injury. It was also a fear of failure, fear of letting someone down, maybe even letting me down. So I thought about through the whole off season. I thought, what can I do to help them? Not cure them, because we all have fear. You know, you can't cure that. But how do you face it? Turn fear into courage. So I made a sword out of wood, and I painted it team colors, cut the end of a bat off, turned it into a sword with a bat handle, and put all their numbers on it, and made it so it could weather the season. And it got passed from player to player. That earned the Fearless trophy. I have to be fearless in fighting this the best way. It's a huge positive boost. And all of a sudden, I'm just Coach Tim again. I'm not the guy with the FSH. Let's go. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks for being here today on the FSH Society radio show. Hope I'm coming in loud and clear. As you know, I'm a baseball coach, and during the season, we kind of pushed the time back a little bit. I host a podcast for the FSH Society. So FSH Society briefly is out of Massachusetts. They're a grassroots volunteer group that helps raise money and awareness to fight this disease. And when I was on that website for the FSH Society, one of the first things I was looking for was a podcast, because that's how I learn. I learn by listening, and I didn't see one. And I thought, well, that's a shame. There should be a podcast for this, for people that have this. So I emailed them and said, love the site. You don't have a podcast, and maybe you should, and I'd love to host it. What we have in store today is a great guest from NFL Films. The show airs just once a month, and we thought, why not Facebook Live? We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the FSH Society radio show. I like the live aspect of the podcast. Mic goes on, I say the juice starts to flow a little bit. I get a little excited, nervous at the same time. Hope the equipment works. Let's go. Well, just like coaching. Okay, we got the game, we got the equipment up. All right, let's go. We just play now and just kind of let it go. Just let it happen. Courage is you got to face that fear and go forward anyhow. Podcasting, it just taps me into that community that knows exactly how I feel. For me, coaching is a personal, selfish, almost distraction. It helps me get through. It helps me feel, lack of a better word, I guess, normal or full-bodied, full strength. There you go. Without those two things, I would not be a happy person. Nice. Whatever you do, you know, kind of play fearless, and that's really what we all have to learn by it. You know, is play fearless. Play fearless in your life and in the actions and the things you do.
Speaking of passion, pipe major Brian Donaldson has it, especially when it comes to making and playing bagpipes. Our John McGivern had a conversation with the man who for several years taught a popular class at St. John's Northwestern Military Academy.
Now think what you're doing. Think of the music. Let's play the correct notes. Make sure that our fingers are on the correct notes. Here we go then. Rose. Quick, march.
You know, they're thinking he's not from here.
No, that's correct.
Where are you from?
I'm from Fife in Scotland.
Fife in Scotland.
Yes,
And
Fife is an area just north of Edinburgh.
And is that where you became familiar with bagpipes?
I was born and bred into it, yes. My father was a piper, and he taught me as a wee boy, 5 years old. This is my bagpipes with the commanding officer's banner. And this is typical of the Scots Guards uniform. The pipe major always has the black cane. There are different types of bagpipes all over the world, but I make the Great Highland bagpipe, as they're called. I do it meticulously, crafting by hand.
All of it.
All of it, yeah.
This is your wood store?
This is my wood store. This is mine. This is the wood that I use to make the bagpipes. We've got two different types of wood here. We've got African blackwood, and then we've got ebony. And as you can tell, if you want to feel that,
Oh, sure. It's heavy as can
very,
be.
very heavy.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But the tonal quality that you get out of a piece of African blackwood is really second to none. It's superb, you know. 14 pieces make up a set of Highland bagpipes.
14 pieces.
Yeah, and down to the smallest piece, which is that, you know.
And every piece is as important as the next piece?
It really is, yeah. We take the piece of wood, set up the lathe.
And you're just eyeing it, right?
Yeah, it's all done by eye and sleight of hand.
You happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that'll allow me to put it in the collet. I'll show you how I bore this,
Good.
okay? So we'll start the machine up here. So a little bit of oil, and then we're in, out, and you can hear it cutting. So that piece of wood here becomes the finished product here. That becomes that, you see? Yeah.
That's what that is?
That's what that is. That's a practice chanter, yeah.
So we're called beginners, which we don't use pipes yet. We use the chancellors. We're learning on there first, and then once we start learning pieces of music, we'll go to the bagpipes.
Most people do think the breathing is the hardest part, and while it is a pretty big factor, the finger technique is the biggest. Because you're using fingers and muscles in your fingers that you've never used before in a strange way, nothing like piano or trumpet or any other instrument. It's unique.
Is there something that makes a good bagpiper? Is there something you look for?
Their fingers or digits. You know how today's society kids are great with their fingers, you know, with these PlayStation machines
Right.
and all these gaming things.
Yeah.
Well, I get them to do that on a musical instrument, and that's my job, you know.
So they've been practicing before they even show
Well,
up with you.
that's right.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
nice.
So it makes it a wee bit easier for me, you know.
Yeah. Are there many schools that have a piping program?
No.
No.
Not in the States. It's quite unique, actually. I would suggest that there's maybe 3, perhaps 4, if that at all, you know. So we're pretty unique here in the respect that we've got a pipes and drums program.
This was my first exposure, actually. I started in 9th grade, my first year here. And it's a strange instrument. There's nothing quite like it, and I think that's what drew me to it.
That's different. I've never been to a school that had bagpipes.
You know, I think it's actually pretty cool because like not that many students here get like the opportunity to join this this program. I think this program is really special.
Are most of them have never touched a bagpipe before they?
No, that's correct. I mean, it's totally alien to them. They take a liking to it. They take a shining to it. It takes up to about 6 months to pick up and learn how to play the bagpipes.
He actually makes us practice every day for at least 30 to 40 minutes.
He'll give you what you need to achieve that level of perfection, and all you need to do is work.
Let's get rehearsing. Striking our bagpipes in and cutting them off. Here we go then, let's do the 4/4 Scotland the Brave set, nice and steady.
He's a really funny teacher, but sometimes he can get mad and serious, but overall he's just really caring.
You behave yourself. Here we go.
I guess he's kind of like our mascot in the class. He's always there.
Well, I got Archie 2 years ago when he was a small pup. I introduced him to the bagpipes and the drums, and he likes it, you know, he has fun.
He's energetic, a little Karen Terrier, and you know, when you come in you get to pet him and he'll sit on your lap sometimes. He's fun to have around.
There are a lot of, you know, talented kids out there that just, you know, come in and do it, and that's it. And then there's others that are like a cow with a gun, you know, that just, it just looks very awkward. That's the job, you know, you've got to train each and every one of them, you know. Some of them take longer than others, you know.
This is something I can do for the rest of my life. and that has a lot of value to it.
Does this feel like Scotland to you?
With the Pipes and Drums program, yes.
It does.
St. John says it plans to continue the pipe program even though Major Donaldson has left the academy. Remember, you can always check us out on Facebook and at MilwaukeePBS.org. We're back October 17th. It is fall, so we'll leave you with a view from above some corn mazes at Skelly's Farm in Janesville. See you next time.